We were all dead for billions of years before we were alive. No one can remember anything before they were born, and many people believe that they will never exist again once their body dies. They believe that this one life is all you have, it's all you get. But is this entirely accurate? We live in a world filled with patterns. The pattern to all of our lives goes like this. First, we don't exist, we are nothing. Then we are conceived, which makes us something. And then we die, which is going back to being nothing. If we came from nothing, if we can't remember anything before existing, then when we do no longer exist, there is no guarantee that the pattern just ends there. It would seem the only guarantee is that our memories end with this brain. But how do you know that you're not more than your brain? And why do so many people believe that you get 2 periods of nothing and only 1 period of something? Please, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I will be using the limitations of language to explain what can only be understood through experience. We all know what happens during the periods of experiencing something. It's what's going on right now. But what happens during those periods of experiencing nothing? I know nothing suggests the lack of an experience, but still, is there something? There is an experience to be had once life ends, but you do not have that experience. The issue is primarily with the word you, because you do not exist. You are nothing more than your ego. You are a mask. Beneath that mask, we are all accessing the same consciousness. My consciousness is no different than your consciousness. The only difference is the brain that's being used to receive it. It's kind of like 2 radios picking up the same signal. They're different radios, but it's the exact same frequency that's playing the music. When I die, I, the ego, Adam, he ends forever. It would be ridiculous to say that Adam continues on after he dies and has an experience. And using language to attempt to describe these existential, metaphysical type concepts is a huge barrier, and a lot of people don't understand how language could be a barrier. Imagine living in a 2-dimensional reality and using your 2 dimensions trying to explain to someone what 3 dimensions look like. You would never be able to accurately depict 3 dimensions from 2 dimensions because you're missing that 3rd dimension, which is essential to see in 3D. It's the same way that we can't depict what 4-dimensional reality would look like through 3 dimensions. We're missing the piece of the puzzle that's required to display it. You can't solve a mystery that you yourself are a part of. You have to step outside of the box and look in on it. And this is where psychedelics can really come in handy. So how do we explain that yes, there is something to be experienced when life ends, but Adam, the ego, is lost forever? I'm going to try, but please, don't take my explanation for face value. Nothing I say should be taken in literal terms. I'm simply trying to paint a picture that an observer can relate to, but by no means is my picture 100% accurate. It's just a metaphor, and it's currently the best I can come up with. No one who's alive today in this reality knows 100% what's going on or can give you a clear picture of what's going on, because like I said, we're all a part of the same mystery. Imagine this. Imagine there's this being who exists, who can have an infinite amount of dreams simultaneously. Say, for example, you are this being, and you go to sleep one night and you have a dream, but instead of 1 dream, you manage to have 1,000,000 dreams. These aren't 1,000,000 dreams that are happening one after the other. Each dream is happening at the exact same time. However, you can only choose one of those 1,000,000 dreams to focus on at a time. The rest of the dreams aren't lost, they are still happening, you just can't see them from your perspective. Because as soon as these parallel dreams occur, it suggests that you, the dreamer, also splits apart into an infinite number of parallel dimensions in order to experience each of the dreams as its own entity. You and I are each one of those dreams. It could be described that we are all the imagination of ourselves. Thank you, Bill Hicks. Again, keep in mind that everything I'm discussing is in metaphors. You can't take anything that I'm saying for face value. You can't take it seriously. It's not like I'm suggesting there actually is this great, all-powerful being and we are his or her dreams. I'm, honestly not suggesting that, and that's most likely not what's going on here. It's again, trying to explain 4-dimensional reality from a 3D perspective. I can't explain it in any accurate way other than trying to make these crazy metaphors that you might be able to relate to. Everything that exists in this universe is a part of the dream, so essentially you are me and I am you. At our core, we're all just different incarnations of it, of all that is. And when we die, you and I, we become the same once again. Death can be seen as the being waking up from a dream. If current science is correct and everything did start off with one big bang, then everything that exists was once part of the same singularity. Nothing that didn't originate from that big bang can come into being, but old data is constantly recompiling itself and transforming into new things, into new experiences, into new songs, into new dances, into new humans. The question still remains, is there a different place that I go to when the physical body dies? There is, but it's not so simple, and it wouldn't be accurate to say that you transverse there. Because the version of you that you know is a mask. It's not real. It's a dream. Basically, everything that I'm trying to explain needs to be experienced to be understood. And you might ask now, well, how would one go about experiencing their ego dying and, leaving this dimension? You guys are actually in luck, because there is a way to have this experience. First of all, it's going to happen to everyone when they die, so it's inevitable. But there's a way to have this experience while you're still alive and to come back from it and continue living. And it is called dimethyltryptamine. That's right, I'm saying that there's an actual drug, a naturally occurring molecule that occurs all throughout nature in thousands of plants that exists that can wake you up from this dream. Of course, some people believe that DMT is simply a molecule. It's simply a drug experience. It's simply something that's changing the neurochemistry of our brain and causing, a chemical reaction causing us to trip out. And those people would be 100% accurate. However, what's going on behind the scenes that science currently can't see is much, much more profound. And it's something that's always going to make me sound crazy when I talk about it. Well, newsflash. I am crazy. Anyone who isn't crazy is absolutely delusional. In an insane world, a sane man must appear insane. If this really is all nothing more than a dream and we all wake up, then what's the point to life? Why is any of this happening? Perhaps the point to life is simply to be alive. Occam's razor suggests that usually the most simple answer is the correct answer. Or there's the literal translation to Occam's razor, which you don't often hear about, which says, entities should not be multiplied unnecessarily, which I find just all too creepy, considering kind of the basis of me talking about splitting apart into multiple entities. But our scientists have interpreted the meaning as if you have two competing theories that make the same predictions, the simpler one is usually the most accurate. So if we trust in Occam's razor, then basically everything I've said in this video is bullshit. Then the answer to the potential of having life after death is obvious. There is no life after death. You live once, you die, and that's it. I mean, death would pretty much lose its purpose if you could continue to live beyond death. That's kind of a contradiction of what death means. Death means the end of life. So you really couldn't have an experience in death. Or maybe we're wrong. Maybe the purpose of death is being interpreted the wrong way. Life didn't come with a rule book. We are all simply interpreting that that's what death means. Because it's what we see. It's what we can see from our perspective. When we see someone die, they don't come back. That person is over. They're gone. But it would be arrogant and foolish to believe that this means death is the ultimate end. From one perspective, it is the end. It's the end of an individual organism's evolution through life. However, if we really all are accessing the same consciousness, then you could say that the organism and the organism's environment are all one and the same thing. You nor I could never have came to exist without this planet. In a very real way, this planet birthed us. This planet is our mother. We're all stuck seeing things from our own individual point of view. This makes us often forget the bigger picture. We are incarnations of life. We are all small pieces of something that's much greater. Something that we will return to when we die. We, in a very real way, are both ourselves and we are our environment, because we couldn't exist without the environment. Our individual consciousness may get shut down forever in death, but the process which gave us consciousness, it will continue. Meaning our true self continues. Our true self is the process which birthed life. And no human can tell you exactly why life happened. We all started off as pure space dust, and life found a way to reach this point once. It can find a way to reach this point again. People are afraid of death because they are convinced that they're this ego self which is attached to their own individual mind. Once you come to realize that the ego is separate from the universal awareness which exists independent of the ego, then all of the fear around death, it just dissipates. Death is simply the transition of experiencing life from being in the ego self and moving on to experiencing the true self. This is where psychedelics come in handy. This is where having a DMT experience can come in handy. When you say smoke DMT, it can literally feel as though you are leaving your body. A lot of people have near-death type experiences where they're even looking down on their body before they get sucked through a tunnel. DMT is such a mysterious molecule. It has even been found to be produced in the brains of rodents, and it's hypothesized to be produced in the brains of humans. And it really is the only way that I could suggest anyone watching this video could get a greater understanding of all the crazy, bizarre, wacky shit that I'm talking about. The only way that you're gonna fully, well, not fully, you can never fully understand while you're alive, but the only way that you can catch a glimpse of what I'm truly trying to communicate through this crazy, crazy video is if you've experienced what it's like to be down the rabbit hole that is DMT. And I want all you guys to know that I was never the spiritual type of person. I never believed my own bullshit until recently. Even now, I often have very large, like, full-on internal battles with myself where I try everything in my power to convince myself that when, say, you die, that's really it, that the experience ends, that it's over. But I always come to the same conclusions. I always agree, and I say, yes, it is it. The experience ends, I die, I'm gone forever. But it's always the same conclusion in regards to, but the I that I think is me isn't really me. I'm more than my ego self. A lot of people will argue and they will say that the brain isn't an antenna accessing this like invisible frequency of consciousness, that the brain is actually the thing that is generating that consciousness. And what I would say to you is it makes absolutely no difference whether the brain generates consciousness or whether it accesses consciousness, because the same thing ultimately has occurred. We all came from nothing. We all came from stardust, and we all somehow, no matter how long it took, form these bodies and form these experiences for ourselves to have. So even if I'm wrong, even if the DMT world doesn't exist and there really is nowhere to go to after this life ends, even if all of that is true, then the pattern would still continue. We still started off as nothing, we became something, we will become nothing again, and again, the logical way to conclude this pattern is to become something again. The funny thing about all of this nonsense and potential reincarnation stuff is it really doesn't matter if you get reincarnated, because the brain, which contains all the memories, which is what kind of makes you you, because that ends when this life ends, it's arguable whether anything I'm even talking about matters. The rational part of my mind really does want to believe that everything I'm saying is just a load of bullshit. That, you know, things really are as simple as science depicts them to be. But the truth of the matter is things are infinitely more complex, more crazy, more wacky than any of us, I think, even have the capability to try to fathom. Like, we can't even wrap our minds around how insane all of this really is. The only reason that we are so okay with life and what's even going on in our immediate experience is because we've been conditioned through the years to get used to it. Because let me tell you, when we were kids, when we were babies, this was one wacky, magical, wild place. And the older we get, the more this world loses its magic and the more things just start appearing normal. For example, I strongly believe that what's going on right now is insane. That this whole experience is insane. And you would say, well, where would I be if I wasn't here? Where would you be if you weren't experiencing life? And that's the question. That's the thing, isn't it? If you weren't alive and you weren't experiencing this life for what it is, where would you be? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for weekly content. A massive thank you to everyone who's supporting us on Patreon right now. I appreciate all of you guys, and the recent surge of people pledging due to some of the issues that I've been having lately has been phenomenal. Like, thank you guys. You guys are all so awesome. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, take care and be safe.